Say yes to new beginnings.
Yes.
Say yes to new standards of excellence.
Yes.
Say yes to engaging reportage with a difference.
Yes.
Introducing Yes International Magazine.
What are the qualities of a good story?
A good story must provide all the necessary perspective. So beyond the basic what, who, where, you must be able to answer questions that will make that story worth people's reading. So if it's an investigation, you must transport people to the venue and explain the environment. That's very, very, very basic, because I like to explain that sometimes people tell you that they have done investigative reporting. What they have done is just basic pictures and extended news reporting. People can't feel that they actually travel to that place and they saw what they are reporting. So a good story must provide us the environment, must ask the right question from the person being investigated or the person that is being reported. Because if you don't ask the right question, you can't get the answers that is required. And a good story must not leave any question unanswered. That means you must prepare very well. When you prepare very well, you are able to know the things that you need to pay attention to. You are able to also have research ahead and see what has been written about this thing and what is left, so that what you are providing is new. If you don't do that, you just be doing a rehash. Just like you want to interview somebody, you didn't read what has been the person's interview has granted before. You won't ask questions that will make that interview different. So that is very, very important. So again, storytelling is becoming very, very important. And storytelling is not just the basic. So it's about issues, it's about what people are saying about that person, the place, the issue, and the new perspective. Even what people are responding. And the story doesn't end at just reporting it, even a continuous engagement.
Now, talking about interviews, what are the qualities of a good interview?
It's an interview that is revealing. I remember my MG at the Nation, Mr. Victor Ifije, we say that if you do an interview and you are struggling to get an headline, what you have done is public relations. You didn't ask questions. But a good interview is a product of advanced research, where you have found what needs to be revealed, what is new. Because like we said, news is about what is new. What is new about it? What is that person saying? He probably has said something about it before, but you are asking him to provide some research. Just for example, somebody had granted an interview and said, I will never contest for Lagos State Governor again 2 years ago. When you are interviewing him, you need to remind him that he said so before. Why are you changing? He said, okay, let me explain to you why I'm doing this. That brings something new. And a good interview is also that when you have questions that can elicit answers, when you don't allow the person you are interviewing to just take control and just be telling stories that may not be germane, and you're able to cover all the issues, so that, for example, if you have 10 questions, you don't end up asking 3 and the person is still telling story. You must take charge of the interview and be able to say, what you are saying is good, sir, but we need to move on. We need this perspective. This is what people are saying. This is what you have said in the past, and you need to take control of that interview. And at the end of the day, you'll be happy that you have done it. But even before you go, like I've said, do your research, ask people around, know more about the person. People say, when you meet someone and say, can we meet you? It is not, you can even ask that one offline. You don't have to come back and be telling us, you ask the person, how can we meet you? Because if you don't know somebody, you can't do a good interview. Except it's an impromptu interview. It's an interview that you are prepared for, information that will guide the interview. And then you say the question people want answers to. I have seen interview that people conducted. People say, you didn't ask the question that you have asked this person. This is the matter that is trending about this person. You didn't ask. And it will defeat that purpose.
So far, which is the most memorable story that you have written as a journalist?
Okay, I'll try. It's a long time. So I've been a journalist since 1987. So you can imagine me trying to think back that long. But I think I can try, because I have actually written about this in one of my books. I have a book called The Journalist You Ought to Be. No, not Journalism of My Life. I have a book called Journalism of My Life. And the most memorable story, which I probably did not write, but I supervised, is a story about a Nigerian that died in UK. Unfortunately, the family in Nigeria did not know that he died. So what happened was that a UK newspaper reported about a new television series about people who just disappeared and their families were not around when they were buried. That story was published in a UK paper. I read it in a UK paper as a Sunday editor. And I saw a Nigerian name among the people who have died without anybody being there when they were buried. So that Yoruba name struck me. And we turned down that story. So the story was not about the new television series, about a Nigerian who is on that list of people who died. We published it in The Nation, and lo and behold, the family that had not known the whereabouts of this guy read about him for the first time. And they invited us, they called us, and one of my staff, Eni Akishola, went to somewhere in Ibadan, in Ojo, and they provided us detail and were able to publish a story about that. I'm so glad that that story connected them for the first time. But beyond that, there are a few other stories that one has done. I'm trying to remember, but I think that is the thing that really gives me a lot of joy. And I've also done stories that have provided people some succor when people who have been in need that have done some story. I remember again that, for example, when I went to UK, I met a Soyinka who is the younger brother of Wole Soyinka, but who is a pastor. I remember when I came back to Nigeria, I wrote down, so I said, this Soyinka is a pastor, because when you hear Soyinka, you are talking about activism, you are talking about every other thing, but this one was different. So I've done stories like that, and a couple of others that I may probably not remember as I speak. But it's been a privilege being a journalist and being able to tell stories.
So which is the most memorable interview that you have conducted as a journalist?
You know, for example, being an editor means that you don't probably go around again as much as you do. But in recent times, running media career, interestingly, in the last 2 years, I've given me the opportunity to do interviews just like you are doing, to speak to professionals and extract information that some other people have benefited from. So I've interviewed a number of professionals who have won awards, who have done great things, who have also shown that journalism has second-hand value. You know, some people tell you say that journalism doesn't have second-hand value, but doing those interviews has given me the opportunity to find information that people have not shared before. So I would say the series of interviews that I have done in that line, I would say they are very memorable. And even as I speak to you, every time I'm seeing somebody doing something, because for now, my life is about journalism, it's about mentoring people. And so when I'm asking people, I'm saying, what have you done? Just like you're asking me, what's your advice for this person? And they have elicited some quite response that have been very helpful. Maybe I should add this one. Recently, I did a story that I think I'm very proud of. So there was this offer to do a story about COVID and development. And because I published a media website, I felt that I can do a story about journalists and COVID. So the story I did was how journalists were able to access COVID vaccine. We are the one talking about people taking vaccine. We are the one talking about why it's important. We are the health reporters and whatever. How we ourselves being involved. So what I did in conjunction with a colleague, Yinka Shokunbi, was that we drew up questionnaires and we interviewed journalists. Have you taken COVID vaccine? Which one, first or second? If you have not taken, why? And journalists, even who have looked about it, went up to say, look, I'm not taking for this reason and whatever. And we did a story that, as I speak to you, that story is going to be turned into an academic paper, because it's perhaps one of the first time when somebody actually took on journalists in terms of their health. And that story was about COVID-19, which is very, very correct. You know, and that story is a data story that we're able to use research and present with graph and so many other things.
Interest in journalism, what has kept it going?
Well, I would say that this is what I signed up to do very early in my career. First and foremost, my father provided the ambience because my father was somebody who had access to, he liked the media, although himself did not go to university, but the kind of education that they got in those days gave them a lot of knowledge. So there were newspapers in the house, there were books that I've been reading. And having become a journalist, I have seen that this job, it's a privilege to be a journalist because it gives you access to talk about things that other people may not be able to talk about. So for me, I think my interest has been that journalism has helped me to impact the world. It has provided the opportunity to be the voice of the voiceless. It has given me a chance to hold government accountable. And I think those roles are very critical. And as I do it, I derive joy from it. And so anything that will take me off from it, that's why I tell people I'm a journalist. Even if you are making 1 million from selling oil, I'm not likely to be interested in selling oil. I'm interested in journalism, and I find any way that can make me continue to do it. Nowadays, I'm involved in training journalists, in mentoring journalists, and that is very, very exciting. And helping people to discover that there is life in journalism. I'm able to show them opportunities. And so even for journalists who are thinking of leaving, they stay on. They realize that there are many things they didn't know. So I'm giving them the opportunity, some of the things that we didn't know, some of the things that we did not take advantage of early. That's what we are doing now and sharing with them, because we need more of mentoring journalists. Journalists need to be inspired because the environment can be very suffocating, but they need encouragement. Early today, for example, a journalist called me from Bauchi. She just wants to talk to somebody. And because of the kind of work I've done with them, she called me and I was able to talk to her. So we need that kind of ambience, because if we don't provide it, many people will run away. Journalism, as I said to people, some of the things we are asking that the government should provide for people, or work environment by asking people, we don't provide it in our own profession. So we must ensure that the environment is conducive. It's not only about money, it's about the support that we give people, about hearing them out and letting them know that they matter.
Now, if you had not taken to journalism, what other profession would you have opted for?
I'm not very sure. Probably a teacher. I think probably a teacher. I had a chance of being a teacher. I think that's what, because what I'm doing now is teaching, and it gives me joy. I think probably. But like I said, very early in life, I discovered that communication is something that I like, and my father prepared me very well for it. It was so easy for me to make up my mind I wanted to read mass communication. I didn't think about being a lawyer or any other thing. Okay, I mean, for example, I did at A levels. I entered the master's at A levels, and I remember that I did a course. I did economics, history, and literature. I scored A in the economy, but I knew that was not my strong point. So I didn't make the mistake of saying I want to go to economics in the university. So I said to, because I was largely prepared at government college Ibadan already, and it helped me. Somebody is saying that I must have opted for pastor work, but I tell you, even in the work I do now, even as a journalist for Christ president, journalism is a ministry. So even on the side I'm doing some work, I think journalism is a ministry, and that's the ministry of encouraging people, of impacting people's lives, of reminding people of their essence, which is very, very critical. Again, one of the reasons why people don't understand journalism is that they don't have the kind of environment that some of us yearn for abroad. When we say we want to go to fellowship, ask yourself, in Nigeria, how many media fellowship do you have in Nigeria? They are providing some of those, and they are not too difficult. One of the things I'm trying to do now is to talk to universities and train other people. We can localize some of these fellowships. We can do it. It will encourage people to stay on, which is very, very important. We can go back to training school and talk to young people and show them patterns. That is very, very important.